Chapter 1. The Vanishing Detectives. Carney and Dunn sat across from each other, coffee in hand, their faces grim. Another child had disappeared in Brooksville. There were no leads, no witnesses, and no ransom. It was as if the child had vanished into thin air. "Fourth one in 3 months, Dunn muttered, running a hand over his weary face. "It doesn't add up." Carney nodded, flipping through a pile of old case files. "You're right. And it's not just recent cases either. Look at this." She pointed to a dusty, yellowing file with the name Bobby Fields scribbled on it. "This boy disappeared back in 1988, and there's another from 1996, and another in 2003. Dunn's eyes widened. "Are you saying we've been dealing with the same pattern for 30 years? Carney's mouth tightened. Same pattern, different children, same mystery. Chapter 2. An old witness. The detectives decided to revisit past cases and re-interview anyone who might have witnessed something at the time. This brought them to an eccentric, elderly man named Edward Tomlin, a local artist known for his strange sculptures and reclusive nature. They found him in a small, dimly lit apartment filled with eerie paintings of shadowy forests and unsettling figures. Edward, hunched and frail, looked at them with an intensity that felt almost predatory. "I told him," Edward whispered as Carney and Dunn explained the recent cases. "But no one believed me." "Tell us what you saw, Mr. Tomlin," Dunn said gently. Edward leaned forward, his hands shaking. "It was 1988. Little Bobby Fields. I was walking home when I saw someone I thought at first. It was a woman, dressed in black. She was hovering over Bobby, almost like she was feeding off him." He took a shuddering breath. Her face changed. It became twisted, monstrous. Dunn and Carney exchanged glances. Edward's description was unbelievable, but there was clarity in his eyes they couldn't ignore. "Do you remember anything else?" Carney asked. Edward nodded. "She was a teacher. I'd seen her around Brooksville Elementary. She went by the name Ms. Valia." Chapter 3. Beneath the Surface. The name Ms. Valia wasn't in any school records, but Carney, a natural at research, found a mention of a Liana Valia on an old school roster from 1988. Ms. Valia was a new teacher that year and had abruptly left the district after Bobby's disappearance. "She's like a ghost," Carney said, frowning at her laptop screen. "There are almost no records of her. Every few years she pops up in a different town, but no one remembers much about her. She always leaves before anyone starts asking questions." Dunn felt a chill creeping up his spine. "And now she's back in Brooksville?" Chapter 4. The Lair. The detectives paid a visit to Brooksville Elementary. The current staff had little information about Ms. Valia, but an old janitor remembered the rumors. "They said she was strange, kept to herself, but the kids—" He shuddered. "They'd tell stories about shadows in the classroom." Determined, Carney and Dunn stayed late at the school. As they searched, they noticed an unusual draft coming from a supply closet in the basement. Behind dusty shelves, they found a hidden door leading to a dark tunnel. Flashlights in hand, they descended into the darkness, their footsteps echoing. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and a sickly sweet smell filled the air. Then they saw it, a chamber lined with small, fragile skeletal remains. Dunn clenched his jaw, horror settling in as he realized what they were looking at. At the center of the room stood a figure with her back to them. It was Miss Valia. She turned slowly, her face an unsettling mixture of beauty and decay, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "Detectives," she purred, a twisted smile curling on her lips. "You've finally found me." Chapter 5. The Revelation. Miss Valia's form began to shift, her skin paling and her limbs elongating. Her eyes burned red, her teeth sharpening. She was no longer human. "I am as old as this town," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. "You cannot imagine the hunger. Children keep me alive. They are so pure, so full of life, and their innocence is delicious." Dunn's voice shook as he held his gun, knowing it was useless. "You've been doing this for years, taking children, feeding off them." Miss Valia laughed, chilling and triumphant. "And no one stopped me, not in 30 years. I will continue long after you're gone." Carney's mind raced. She remembered the ancient symbols on the walls, protective glyphs. Pulling a piece of chalk from her pocket, she began drawing them in a circle around Miss Valia. "What are you doing?" the creature hissed, her voice rising in fury. Dunn joined her, marking symbols on every surface he could reach. Miss Valia screeched, her form flickering, trapped within the glyphs.